The Mayan civilization, one of the most fascinating and complex societies in human history. The Maya flourished in Mesoamerica, in what is now Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador, from approximately 2000 BC to the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century AD. Their civilization reached a peak between 250 AD and 900 AD, during which time they developed a sophisticated system of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and art. The Maya were renowned for their impressive architecture, including towering pyramids, elaborate palaces, and intricate ball courts. They also had a complex social and political structure, with a ruling class of priests and nobles, and a vast network of trade and diplomacy. The pre-classic Maya period, 2000 BCE, 900 CE. The earliest known Maya settlements date back to around 2000 BCE, in what is now Guatemala. During this period, the Maya developed agriculture, architecture, writing, and a sophisticated calendar system. They built large ceremonial centers, such as El Mirador and Nakbi, which were among the largest and most complex structures of their time. The classic Maya period, 250 CE, 900 CE. The classic Maya period, which began around 250 CE, saw the height of Maya civilization. During this time, the Maya developed a system of writing, astronomy, mathematics, and art. They also built some of their most impressive cities, such as Tikal, Palenque, and Copan. The Maya also developed a complex political system, with powerful rulers who controlled vast territories. They were also skilled in warfare and built impressive defensive structures. The post-classic Maya period, 900 CE, 1521 CE. The post-classic period began with the collapse of many of the great Maya cities around 900 CE. However, some cities, such as Chichen Itza, continued to thrive during this time. The post-classic period also saw the rise of new Maya states, such as the Toltecs and the Aztecs. The Spanish conquest, 1521 CE. In 1521, the Spanish arrived in the Yucatan Peninsula and defeated the Maya people. The Spanish destroyed many of the Maya cities and imposed their own culture and religion on the indigenous people. Starting in the early pre-classic period around 2000 BCE and continuing through the classic period from 250 CE to 900 CE. During this time, the Maya developed a sophisticated civilization that encompassed architecture, agriculture, writing, art, religion, and politics. One of the key factors in the rise of the Maya was their development of agriculture. The Maya were skilled farmers who developed a system of terracing to cultivate crops on the hilly terrain of the region. They also developed irrigation systems to manage water resources, which allowed them to support large populations. Another important factor was the Maya's development of a complex political system. The Maya built powerful city-states that were ruled by a king or queen, who had control over vast territories. These rulers were supported by a large bureaucracy that included priests, scribes, and other officials. The Maya also developed a system of writing known as hieroglyphics, which they used to record their history, religion, and political events. This system of writing allowed the Maya to keep accurate records and pass down their knowledge to future generations. The Maya civilization reached its height during the Classic period, from 250 CE to 900 CE. During this time, the Maya built some of their most impressive cities, such as Tikal, Palenque, and Copan. These cities were characterized by massive pyramids, temples, and ball courts, as well as impressive public plazas and residential areas. Mayan art is a diverse and complex artistic tradition that spanned many centuries and encompassed a wide range of media and styles. It was a crucial part of Maya culture, and served a variety of functions, from religious and political to aesthetic and decorative. One of the defining characteristics of Mayan art is its intricate and detailed designs. Maya artists created intricate patterns, motifs, and compositions that were often highly symbolic and charged with meaning. They used a variety of techniques, including carving, painting, weaving, and pottery making, to produce works of great beauty and skill. Mayan art was also closely tied to religion and spirituality. Many Mayan artworks, such as figurines, masks, and sculptures, depicted gods, goddesses, and other divine beings. These artworks were often used in religious ceremonies and rituals, and served as objects of worship and devotion. Mayan art also frequently incorporated hieroglyphic inscriptions, which provided important information about Mayan history, religion, and mythology. Another important aspect of Mayan art was its connection to politics and power. Many Mayan artworks depicted rulers, nobles, and other important figures, and served as symbols of their status and authority. These artworks were often highly stylized and idealized, portraying rulers and other figures in a heroic and powerful light. There are several important examples of Mayan art that are noteworthy for their beauty, complexity, and historical significance. Jade objects. Jade was highly valued by the Maya and was used to create a variety of objects, including figurines, masks, and jewelry. Many of these objects were finely carved and highly detailed, with intricate patterns and designs. Stele. Stele are tall, thin stone monuments that were used by the Maya to commemorate important events and individuals. They often featured hieroglyphic inscriptions and carved images of rulers, gods, and other important figures. Murals. The Maya were skilled painters, and many of their buildings and temples were decorated with colorful and detailed murals. These murals often depicted scenes from Mayan mythology and history, and provided important insights into Mayan culture and society. Codices. The Maya created several codices, or books made from bark paper, that were used to record important information about Mayan history, religion, and astronomy. These codices were highly detailed and included intricate illustrations and hieroglyphic inscriptions. Pottery. Mayan pottery was highly decorative and often featured intricate designs and patterns. It was used for a variety of purposes, from cooking and storage to religious and ceremonial functions. Mayan pottery was often brightly colored and decorated with images of gods, animals, and other important figures. One of the most iconic types of Mayan structure is the pyramid. Mayan pyramids were often built in the center of cities or at the top of hills and were used for religious and ceremonial purposes. They were typically made of stone and were often highly decorated with carvings and stucco reliefs. Many Mayan pyramids were topped with temples or other structures. Mayan cities also featured elaborate palaces, which were used by the ruling class for both residential and administrative purposes. These palaces were often built around large courtyards and were adorned with intricate carvings and stucco reliefs. They typically featured multiple rooms and were sometimes several stories tall. Another important type of Mayan structure is the ball court. Mayan ball courts were used for a popular game called paktapak, which involved hitting a rubber ball with the hips and trying to score points. Mayan ball courts were often large, rectangular structures with sloping walls and were sometimes decorated with carvings or murals. There are many important structures in the Mayan civilization. Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza is one of the most famous and impressive Mayan cities. It was built between the 9th and 12th centuries AD and features a variety of impressive structures, including the Temple of Kukulkan, also known as El Castillo, a massive pyramid with 365 steps, and the Great Ball Court, one of the largest in Mesoamerica. Tikal. Tikal is another well-known Mayan city, located in present-day Guatemala. It was one of the most important political and cultural centers of the Mayan civilization and features many impressive structures, including the Temple of the Jaguar, the Temple of the Masks, and the Great Plaza, a large open space surrounded by several important buildings. Palenque. Palenque is an ancient Mayan city located in present-day Mexico. It was known for its impressive architecture and intricate artwork, and features many notable structures, including the Temple of the Inscriptions, which contains the tomb of the Mayan ruler Pacal the Great, and the palace, a complex of interconnected buildings that served as both a royal residence and administrative center. Copan. Copan is an ancient Mayan city located in present-day Honduras. It was known for its impressive sculptures and intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions, and features several important structures, including the Acropolis, a series of stepped platforms topped with temples and palaces, and the Great Plaza, a large open space surrounded by several impressive buildings. Tulum. Tulum is a coastal Mayan city located in present-day Mexico. It was known for its strategic location on a cliff overlooking the Caribbean Sea and served as an important trading center. It features several impressive structures, including the Temple of the Frescoes, which contains some of the best-preserved Mayan murals, and the castle, a large pyramid-shaped structure that served as both a watchtower and a ceremonial center. The Maya calendar consists of three distinct calendars that work together: the Hab, the Tzolk'in, and the long count. Hab calendar. The Hab calendar is a solar calendar consisting of 365 days divided into 18 months of 20 days each, plus a final month of 5 days, called Yuib. Each month had its own name and glyph, and the names and glyphs were used to represent the time periods in other parts of Maya culture, such as in the names of people and places. Tzolk'in calendar. The Tzolk'in calendar is a 260-day sacred calendar that was used for divination and religious ceremonies. The Tzolk'in consists of 20 periods of 13 days, each with its own glyph and name. The days in the Tzolk'in are numbered from 1 to 13, and each number is associated with a different deity. The combination of a number and a glyph gives a unique name to each day in the Tzolk'in calendar, which repeats every 260 days. Long count calendar. The long count consists of 5 units of time: the kin, 1 day; the yunal, 20 kins, or 20 days; the tun, 18 yunals, or 360 days; the katun, 20 tons, or 7,200 days; and the baktin, 20 katuns, or 144,000 days. The long count calendar can represent dates far into the future or the distant past. Maya calendar was an essential part of their society, and it was used for various purposes, such as scheduling agricultural activities, predicting astronomical events, and conducting religious ceremonies. The Maya were polytheistic. That means that they believed in many gods. Maya gods were greatly the gods of nature, including the gods of the sun and of Venus, and the maize god, maize, or corn, was their most important crop. Their religious practices included festivals and rituals to honor their gods. Such festivals were led by priests who held an especially important place in Maya society. Maya priests had a hand in controlling nearly everything in Maya daily life. They decided when to plant crops, when to marry, and whom to sacrifice. Maya religion, however, was about more than simply following the commands of their priests. The Maya viewed all of nature as sacred. They practiced a belief system called animism. Animism is the belief that objects, places, and creatures all possess a distinct spiritual essence, or soul. For the Maya, all things, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, weather systems, human handiwork, and perhaps even words, were alive. Ceremonies and rituals of the Maya were performed on specific days of the year. As such, their rituals were closely related to the celestial and terrestrial. Priests used the Maya calendar to track and record the beginnings and end of these cycles. During the festivals, humans and animals were sometimes sacrificed to please the gods. The Mayans sacrificed iguanas, turtles, crocodiles, dogs, jaguars, and turkeys in large numbers. The supreme sacrifice, however, was that of human beings. The Maya believed that human blood was needed to sustain their gods. Sacrificial victims included enemy leaders and ball players, as well as criminals, slaves, women, and children. Not all sacrifices ended in death, however. Bloodletting was a much more common form of personal sacrifice. In bloodletting, people would use a stingray spine or sharp stone to prick or cut themselves. In the picture at left you see a Maya noblewoman pulling a cord with thorns through her tongue. When the king or nobles offered blood, a few drops were smeared on a bit of tree bark. The bark was then burned and the smoke floated to heaven where it could be consumed by the gods. Mirrors. One Maya legend says that if you looked at a mirror, you might be able to communicate with the demons who inhabited the underworld. They believed that a mirror could act as a portal or doorway to the underworld. Despite the danger, Maya boys sometimes looked into a mirror as a demonstration of their courage. Legend says that warriors going into battle wore mirrors on their backs. The idea was that if you tried to sneak up on a Maya warrior, a demon might reach out from the underworld and snatch you. The afterlife. The Maya believed in an afterlife. Heaven was the home of the gods, and the Maya believed that a section of heaven was reserved for the Maya afterlife. That section of heaven is where the Maya believed their ancestors lived, always keeping a watchful eye on their relatives still alive on earth. Nobles were buried in tombs. Commoners buried their dead inside their homes, under the floor. That way, they could live with their ancestors and keep their ancestors easily posted on their daily life. The Maya believed in compensation after death. If they had a rough time or a rough life, this would be made up to them in their afterlife. One theory is that environmental factors such as drought, deforestation, and soil erosion may have played a role in the collapse. The Mayans were known for their sophisticated systems of agriculture, which relied on intricate irrigation systems to cultivate crops in a region with little rainfall. However, prolonged droughts could have severely impacted the Mayans' ability to grow crops, leading to food shortages and social unrest. Another theory is that political instability and internal conflict contributed to the collapse. The Mayan civilization was not a unified empire, but rather a collection of independent city-states that were often in competition with each other. This competition may have led to wars and political instability, weakening the Mayan society and leaving it vulnerable to outside invasions. External factors may have also contributed to the collapse of the Mayan civilization. The arrival of Europeans in the region in the 16th century AD brought new diseases and technologies that likely had a significant impact on the indigenous populations. The Spanish conquest of the Mayan people was swift and brutal, and many Mayan cities were abandoned or destroyed during this time. It is important to note that the collapse of the Mayan civilization was not a sudden event, but rather a gradual decline that occurred over several centuries. The Mayan civilization was one of the most advanced and sophisticated cultures of the ancient world, with impressive achievements in agriculture, astronomy, art, architecture, and more. Though the civilization eventually declined and collapsed, leaving behind a legacy of impressive ruins and artifacts, the influence of the Mayan people and culture can still be seen today in the traditions, languages, and customs of modern-day Mesoamerica. As we continue to learn more about the Mayan civilization through ongoing research and archaeological discoveries, we can gain a deeper understanding and appreciation of this rich and complex culture and the enduring impact it has had on our world.